Hello, welcome to another episode of Coffee Chat with the CAO. I am Camille Duchaussee, the city's Chief Administrative Officer, and I look forward to bringing you interesting content on occasion, particularly from some of the folks who lead the departments within the city of Philadelphia, and hearing from them all of the great work that's happening within their departments. So today, it is my great pleasure to have with us Kevin Bethel, Commissioner of the Philadelphia Police Department.
Well, thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Okay,
Glad to
thank
be
you.
here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us. I know that you are an extremely busy individual, and any opportunity that I have to have you with me and have a conversation with you, I'll always take full advantage of
I
it.
appreciate that.
So, Commissioner Bethel, one of the things that I think is particularly noteworthy and remarkable about you is that there is a lot of awareness of you and the work that you did while with the police department prior to being the commissioner, and then the work that you did with the school district of Philadelphia. Can you tell me a little bit about how that has informed your approach to being the commissioner as you're now with the police department?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I mean, at first I start where I came from. You know, I'm born and raised in the city of Philadelphia. I'm 62 years old and raised by a single mother who raised 4 boys by herself. So the greatest leader in my life is my mother. She raised all of us as young boys, and coming through that process, and then having I went to college, dropped out of college, and really were working a lot of dead-end jobs and working, and then ultimately the police department was in the neighborhood looking for police officers. So I didn't come to policing because had cops in my family. Now there's got great cops in the neighborhood, and coming to the police department will really set on my course to where I am today. Being able to, over that period of time, to really get engrossed in the community. One of the best jobs I ever had was a captain in the district. Just working in the community, watching to see what the impact you can have on people's lives and the people and serving them. That would start building that thing that really gets me jazzed up. Being selected to be the deputy commissioner in 2008 under Commissioner Ramsey, one of the best leaders I've ever worked under. Commissioner Ross was phenomenal as well, but Commissioner Ramsey would mentor me. And then leaving the police department. I was going for the police department for 7 years. But coming out of that bubble that you live in for all your life, this paramilitary organization, now I'm working over the school district, and I'm like, wow, like you don't have to holler at people. Like, people do it because they love you and care about you. Dr. Height would be an amazing leader that I would watch how he would operate. And you would just want to go through a wall for him, just the way he treated you, and you watch everybody around him do that as well. Dr. Watlinson would follow that same template when he would come in. And so by the time I come back to the department, I'm a lot different. I come back to the police department this time being a servant leader, both serving the men and women who work for me, but more and just as equally serving the community that I'm born and raised and love. And also being transformational. I saw some things away from the department that I often felt now coming back we were missing.
Sure.
Those gaps.
Yes. I think you and I have chatted about that before, right? There's a difference in approach to policing, and there's an emphasis. I shouldn't say there's a different approach, but you made sure that there was a particular emphasis on our contacts with the community, seeing that as equally, and I don't mean to characterize it, and please tell me if I'm not characterizing it correctly, but the equal importance between our community work and the policing work. I don't, maybe speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, one of the things I did was elevate Commissioner Massey up to and change the term of, community relations was our term. We still have that as one of our subsets, but community partnerships. Part of the work is partnerships, right? Yeah. It's more than just this thing walking by, right? Part of our work is how do we build partnerships with the community? You oftentimes hear me say it's community policing, not policing the community, right? And so if you come at it, and you also recognize that the majority of my men and women, the majority of our work is service work, but we oftentimes don't elevate that. Like we kind of leave that on because that's not the warrior part of the work, and so we're that's focusing on the guardian.
Yeah.
But the reality is most of my men and women are guardians, right? And they come to that warrior space, and when we have incidences. But the day-to-day work is folks calling 2.5 million times into the police department, looking for help and service, and so I think it helps us elevate. It changes our mindset about how do we connect to the community and how it's important. People's impression of the cops in most cases is the one time they met a cop at that moment. How he or she treats him or her in that moment will be representative of how they see the police department. If we do it with empathy, we do it with respect, we do it with dignity, we win. But when we don't do that is when they look at the police department and say, hey, the police department is not that. So we're really, really emphasizing, as part of our work and even in our 5-year strategic plan that we're unfolding now is to really get rooted in the community and make sure that we're doing it effectively. And if we do that, we all win. And the men and women feel valued in the work that they do. And the community knows that we're meeting the charge that they have of us. They want good, quality, constitutional policing. That's what they want.
Yes.
They deserve that. I don't
Yes.
care where you live and what conditions you live in. That's what you deserve, and that's what we're pushing to be.
And I feel like I got a sense of that more directly. And I shared this with you. We had a Bring Your Child to Work Day not long ago, earlier this year. And you don't know this, but I shared a picture with you of one of your police officers working with one of our team members' children, demonstrating how the drone works. And the image is emblazoned in my mind because it's a beautiful image. It's our police officer operating or communicating, interacting with a young person in a way that you can see the light in the young person's. It's perfectly captured. If I do say so myself, in this photo, the light in the young person's eyes. That's a connection that I think will forever impact the way that child, and even as an adult, that individual will interact with the police.
Right.
I thought it was a beautiful event, and I thought the approach from all of your officers who were present and all of your team members who were present was community forward.
Right.
It wasn't about a show of this is the equipment that we use to enforce rules.
Right.
This was about how do we connect what we're doing with our community members.
And those moments are important. Those moments are critical. I mean, many of my men and women get into the car. By the time they get in the car, they have jobs backed up in the system and oftentimes not able to slow down and be able to have those special moments.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're very intentional about participating in those programs. So when you reach out or anyone reach out, it's a great opportunity for the officer to slow down. And in that moment, just embrace the moment. And we're family. We have many of us, we love this city, right? And we have families. We've grown up in the city. I always talk about my experience with, I was a PAL kid. So, Officer Kelly was my PAL officer. I had two PAL officers. Officer Martin was my PAL officer. Officer McGriff lived on the block. Miss Big Ben lived on the block, or the police officers.
Awesome.
And so those are the people, and so when you see that positivity, when you see that officer, that kid and that child will now have a different view. I used to get frustrated when people would say, come over with a kid. If you don't get out of trouble, I'm going to tell the police officer. I say, don't do that.
Right, yeah.
Like I used to try to stop them. Don't do that, right? Because even though I know it's not meant in a negative way, that child sits there and says, oh, I see a police officer and they see negativity.
Right.
Right. And so I would often challenge folks to say, that's why I got a lot of time I have coins in my pocket. If I see a child, I give my challenge coin.
Oh, that's
because
nice.
it's important that them see them light up. It's important that they see us in that different. And then when you take that picture and you share it, or somebody walking by who sees it, it's more than just a moment.
Yes.
It impacted you to send me the picture. And then I send it to my team, say, hey, great job. And that loop also back to those officers makes them feel valued, right? They say, hey, my work matters. We all want to matter.
Yes.
And I think when we have those moments, we have to lean into them. And that's where we're trying to do that every day.
I think it's one of the reasons why anytime you see on either a social media clip, you see an officer joining a basketball game or racing or dancing in a dance challenge with a neighborhood or community.
Yeah, I've done mine myself.
Wait, what? Do you want to demonstrate something?
Yeah, I've done my little, lecture slide and all that. And I love it because people don't expect that.
Exactly.
And they see this entity, and oftentimes they don't see the human side of that, and when you have that opportunity to show that.
But that's been your goal, right? To change that from the
Right.
anomalous
100%.
perception to that these are your community policing
100%.
team.
And that's who I am, right?
Yes.
And so there's not a time I don't go. If somebody walks by and says something to me, I stop. Someone would take a picture with me, I'm going to take a picture with them.
Yes.
When people say to me, hey, great job, you're doing phenomenal, I know they're not talking about Kevin Bethel, they're talking about the department.
Right.
And so, and it's also giving our men and women it's okay.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they've been in a very difficult period coming out of the civil unrest and the conversation about the funding and you leading the employee space. You know what it's like when the biggest fuel to get men and women going is the morale.
Yes.
Feeling good about your job, feeling valued in that space. And so my 2 years of my work, one of the core areas I really focus on is making them feel valued, and the community are a big part of that. When they see positive stories, when they see good stuff about them,
Right.
that they start to internalize that, and it takes time to build that up. But at the same token, so it's a benefit for us when I walk into a room in the community, people say, I love Captain such and such, I love Officer Bark, I love the community relations team, I love that. That's so important to make them feel so valued and feel like they're part of something that's heading in the right direction and so positive.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of this platform that I might have, where we have the opportunity to highlight different aspects
Right.
of the work that our team members and our colleagues do. And the community policing is a significant
Right.
part of that needs way more attention than sometimes we have the space to allow for it. I will tell you that one of the last kind of personal story is, I was not in the role of CAO when you were selected. You have met my husband, and at the point at which there was public and media attention on the process and who the candidates were, he said, Kevin Bethel. He said, yeah, he's like, that's the guy. And,
Right.
and if he is the person who is ultimately selected, and then even after you were announced as the police commissioner, he's like, you guys have no idea what you've just gotten.
Well, that's a blessing.
Yeah.
I met your husband before I met you, and phenomenal. And that's how I operate, right? I try to make sure that everyone feels valued. People say, how you have these great relationships. I'm a kid who used to wash pots, mop floors, and work in receiving. And I know how people make me feel. I remember how people used to look down on me or people. And so my life journey, I made sure that I make sure I don't care. Everybody I meet feels value, and that comes full circle as you age. And now I'm much older, but I have those same people who when I mess with Kenyatta sometimes, he's peace not guns, walking around in a t-shirt in South Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I don't know really much about this young man, but I see somebody who really wants the community to change, and so I'm walking in the neighborhood with him. Well, now he's a president of city council. And so the relationship started 20 years ago, or 2008, in 2007, when I'm the captain in the 17th district. And so people need to understand that, how important relationships are, and coming back, bringing all that, my school folks, and when you talk about community, that's why, and we've talked about, it's so important for you to be, the mayor said you can't be what you can't see. And so when I come back to the department, civilianization and bringing individuals from outside the police department into the department has been a home run for us to help us meet our goals. I have my goal to be one of the finest police departments in America. That can't happen just with my police officers and just what I have. It has to be other entities in that.
So realizing the goals that you have for the department, for the city, it requires some change and some resourcing. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing within your infrastructure and organizational structure to support your vision for seeing us as seeing community policing as opposed to policing the community.
Yeah, and I think and one of the things I recognized being away was the importance of, every organization sees their gaps, right? And when I was a school district, I'm hiring outside consultants to help me to fill those gaps. Coming to the police department, said we have to start, doing things differently. And so I hired, Carla Shoali to come in to do my communications. She worked at CNN 8. She understands production. She understands, because we got to brand ourselves.
Sure.
And what does that brand look like? I hire Ayanna Green to come in. I'm looking from afar, and there's always these complaints about our detectives not being able to follow up with families of victims of homicide. And so Ayanna Green, who comes from the outside as executive director overseeing our victim advocate and community liaison work, she comes in, we create now today, and through the support of your team, I have to give a shout out to your amazing team. They've helped us with all of these positions. But bring in, now I have 10 victim advocates who are non-police officers who work alongside homicide. Now, think about that. And they call after every homicide. They're calling the families to make sure that they set up the levels of communication. They're working with the detectives because oftentimes detectives are busy. They're phenomenal workers, but there's questions that are coming in that they oftentimes can't get to. And then when there is a question where they need to talk to the detective, we go into teams, we're able to arrange that. Right. Not only did that start out just doing the homicide, and that's going extremely well. We bring in our outside supporters to support Mothers in Charge. Amir, Every Murder is Real. So we bring in community groups, giving them funds.
Yes.
Small, not a lot of money, but to be able to let them know that they're valued, that we need their support network. And now we do all the shootings. And then after a fatality for all crash investigations, we do that. And they're following up every 2 weeks if the family wants that, depending on how they're setting up the plan. That is, to me, is the work, right? Yeah. And then most recently, I just hired a Dr. Pamela Murray that comes in to help us in the academy. For years, our chief has run the academy,
development.
But now we need. I said I'm a big part of the budget, right? And but part of what we recognize, if you want to change culture, if I want to be the finest police department, we have to train that way. And so I bring in Dr. Murray, who's used to be a teacher, a principal. So 30 years in education, who went into the business world, worked at Amazon, helping them establish one of their training academies. Now she comes in and she's going through all of our curriculum, helping us develop our personal development, working with your team. How do we, when we're doing promotions, how do we reset that so we can build out the capacity of the police department? Using the word pedagogy up in academy, right? I mean, that oftentimes, now I learned that word over being in the school district, but I looked at the school district, I said, why can't we have that? And so now she comes in and within, a short period of time, just the low-hanging fruit of the things that we could be doing differently and making us think differently is so exciting to me. And so we just continue to have David Irizarry, who does all my juvenile work. Now, I'm blessed to have Stoneleaf Foundation, me a fellow, to be able to do all of my juvenile diversion work. That is my work, and it's going to be my bedrock. That's my legacy work. And he does all of my juvenile work. And so when you think about all of that, and and all those individuals, Kevin, Thomas, who does my data analysis, and all of that now layered into the police department. And then most recently working to bring project managers in. Project managers, the police department? We got thousands of projects. Every organization has project managers who help them support their work, and so we're embarking on that endeavor. So all of this, Camille, is really, really helping us accelerate our timeline.
Nice.
But also making us better, and making us a better organization. And so I'm excited about the direction we're going.
Oh, I'm excited for it too. Yeah. I can feel it. Yeah. I mean, in my little space in the world, just walking around the triplex, there are officers out and about in this space right here, and their interaction with me it's communal.
Right.
It's not something that evokes for me.
Right.
Policing, to be honest with you.
Right.
The only thing that may do that is the uniform, but I feel like you can. It's palpable. That change. Yeah,
and that's why I'm glad to hear that.
That approach.
But it's not. I mean,
it's not a change.
And at time, listen, we get some. We're not perfect.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, people go on social media and they'll see a negative interaction, and sometimes it's not pretty. But I'm proud of these men and women.
Yeah.
I'm proud of the resiliency that they demonstrated over this period of time. I'm proud of how they're responding to. They want leadership. They want. Tell me what I want. As a cop, when I walk the door, tell me what you want me to be. Yeah. Tell me what you want me to do.
Yeah.
Tell me, and they're smart. They're smart. They're smarter than this kid who came in 1986. They want technology, so we're trying to feed the technology, right? They want more technology. It's funny. I have a feather in my conference room that represents us still handwriting reports. And so, but we are working through a records management system now. And when that comes off off my conference table, that means we've kind of moved to the next level.
Yeah.
But that's what they want, and so we a kid today who wants to come in the police department. I think about my daughter. My baby would never want to come to the police department. We'll start there. But if she was, she would come to serve.
Right.
Right? I mean, she would come to say, and it's okay for us to show people what that looks like. I mean, it's okay for us to humble ourselves and recognize that we're not perfect. We're understanding that this is a collective effort, and that's why I'm so honored to work for this mayor.
Yeah.
I wasn't coming back. I decided I had moved on, but sitting down with her and listening to and then watching the vision. It's been absolutely the most enjoyable, 2 years into this process that I could have ever imagined. A mayor who allows you to lead, but also says it don't have to be about you, right?
Yeah.
I used to sit there and by myself, and we as a police department, when the crime went up, it was on us. When it went down, everybody was involved.
Yes.
But what happens when the mayor says, hey, it's an intergovernment, it's all of us, and if we all work together, and this boat can rise together, and we're seeing that now. The impact of true leadership stands in front of folks and says, hey, and then gives me, someone like myself, the ability to lead and the ability to run your department. I sit there. I called my wife yesterday. I said, and she was like, wait. I said, I love this job. She's like, wait. You told me that last week, but I said, but I have those moments.
Yes.
I feel the same way about getting up and go to work that I did in 1986. What a blessing that is, right? To know that here it is, almost 9 years later, whatever, that I still just as equally great about this job. We did a speaker series where I bring speakers before my commanders, and Commissioner Ramsey came and spoke to my team a couple of weeks ago. It was absolutely amazing conversation, right? He's one of the formidable leaders in America, but at the end they asked him, like, would you do anything over? Would you
question,
change?
yes,
It was a great question. He says, my only regret, and he's been in, I think, 47 years, is I can't do it over again. And the room just was like,
wow.
But encapsulate how I feel today, right? How I feel about the job and how I express that with my men and women that you talked about earlier. I live with purpose. I get up every day with purpose, and I know you do. And
I think that translates, right? I mean, we've seen some extraordinary kind of hiring numbers out of the police department, and I think you surpassed the goal that you established for the team. And I think that is an indication of the buy-in to what you're selling, right? What the organization represents.
100%. I mean, we exceeded our numbers last year. I think the goal was 300. We exceeded that. This year, we're over 400. We're exceeding our goals. We're getting young people from those marginalized communities who are applying. They're coming in. Your team has worked well to get us, opening up the hiring process for it. I think we do at least 4 times a year, and we're getting the numbers. Yeah. Right. And so, we had some challenges because we had so many sign up for our drop program, retirement program, and they're leaving. So we got maybe a little more a year to get through that final stage of that, but with a great contract that we just recently for the men and women, which they appreciate and we appreciate as an organization, and then having a positive, feeling good about. One greatest compliment I got the other day was Bill McVeigh from Ben Salem Police Department, who runs their police department, and he said, Kev, this was the lowest number of applicants we had from the city come. And I was like, and he said, you should probably see that as a compliment. That we had some of the fewest numbers,
right.
and then I see men and women coming back now, and so so that's the goal, right? Is that you present this model that they say, hey, I want to be a part of that.
Yes, exactly.
Look what they're doing, the new uniforms. Everybody like, hey, listen, but just like anything else. That work. I told them the police department, we lost 40,000 pounds in one day when we went to our midnight blue outfits. Everybody looks lean and mean, but it was important, right? It wasn't just about changing uniforms.
Right.
We're heading in a different direction. Things are going great. I want you to feel good about yourself, right?
Yes.
And so all of that.
It's purposeful.
Yeah, it's purpose, right? It's not just, hey, we're just going to change uniform to change uniform. And here's the small piece of that. The city I remember going to the mayor and ask her, for permission and the funding to be able to do that. And she says yes, but that cascade of, so the city would do that for us. Now people think that's small, but that's reality for these men and women. Wow, the city would invest in us, and it was received well.
Yes.
By many, I can't tell you how many compliments I received, and no, most of the time I do good stuff for my cops. It's like may last a couple of weeks, but this has been I'm getting a lot out of this one, right? Because they like the uniforms, they feel good about the uniform, you feel good about the work. People walking by say, "Hey, officer, you look great in your uniform." That's the stuff that you so appreciate. So when your audience hears me talk, I just want to say thank you to them. What they're doing with my men and women when they make those comments, when they say thank you for your service, when they send me the notes or the emails or the letters or tell their captain, that goes far greater than Kevin Bethel sitting up there and saying, hey, they know how I appreciate them. But when they hear from the folks that they serve,
yes.
And so I do want to say thank you because they've been absolutely. I remember most recently when we did the parade, the Eagles parade. It reminded me of when we did the Pope, because it was just this great feeling of goodwill. And so when I walk in the parade line for the Eagles and just the way folks are everybody was in the same place, right? We're all excited, but they were also feeding that to my cops, right? And they were we did the twitch push in one intersection, right? And I get there, they're throwing the balls, they're throwing the footballs. And I was just so, by the time I got to the end, I walked from end to end. My whole time, my executive team did that, and just the way people were just saying to me, "Hey, I thank you for your officers. I appreciate what they're doing." Because it was challenging. Getting before that we got the the craziness downtown and all that for them to be able, and that they walk away from there, and that's when I made a message to the community. They're saying thank you, because those are those moments, and we're heading in a great direction. I tell people the winners at our back, and it's important to, meet the mayor's charge of what she's given to us as part of safety. But you can't ignore that either. When the mayor comes out, it's Maslow's theory, right? Safety.
Yes.
That sent a message to these men and women that they were valued again.
Yes.
And then what she says is not, I always butcher, don't listen to what I say, watch what I do.
Yeah.
I think she said that last night, yesterday, and then when backing up with action, backing up with, hey, listen, I don't have no time for that inappropriate behavior, so let you know.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, that kind of rhythm is important.
Yeah, well, I do want to say thank you. I said not only to your entire team, because what they do for the city of Philadelphia on a daily basis, putting themselves in harm's way in service of others, that's an extraordinary thing, and I don't know that we can thank you enough for that. But very specifically as a colleague, I want to say thank you to you.
Well, I appreciate that.
You allow others, and I'll speak for myself, you allow me to walk into a space and feel like I can be me in that space and lead in a way that makes sense to me for the purpose of serving the residents of Philadelphia. You give others permission to do that, and that is extremely valuable and meaningful. And so I want to say thank you to you for showing up the way you do every day.
Well, listen, I thank you for my faith, but Odessa Bethel.
Okay.
I started
Thank
with
you,
her,
Odessa.
and I thank my mother every day. That's the core values that she instilled in her.
She raised a great one.
And then I lead that effort every day to show her.
Yes.
I know she's looking down, but I'll make sure I live the way she would want me to live.
Well,
So,
thank you very much
I appreciate
again.
that.
So as we kind of end today, right?
That's when those questions come
Yeah,
up like
here it
that?
comes. Well, no, I mean, we talked about this a little bit.
That's right.
We have a kind of a shared joy of bike riding, and so I do mostly kind of riding in the street. It's my mode of transportation to and from work. I've been able to make it 55 years without can you hear that? Without an accident, other than two minor kind of issues.
Right.
But tell me about like your trail ride. You're a trail rider.
I'm not as brazen as you going out on the road. I think folks are out there a little bit too crazy for me. So I stay on my safe trails. But I took up biking after I left the police department and out and on the trails and Schuylkill Trail and 202 and just really came to enjoy it. Now I did have a fall, as I shared with you. I forgot to take my feet out the clips one day and went tumbling down.
Yeah, I won't do that. I won't engage in that kind of.
I had a small tear in my shoulder, and ultimately it tore the rest of it. So I wound up getting surgery. It worked out well, and I'm great. I work out, I do the weights and all that, but the biking really gives me my moments. And as you know, I go out there for hours, and sometimes just those moments, and I'll try to get through as far as the cold. I got all my cold gear to get through, and on the weekends, not riding as much. Sometimes been a little bit challenging coming back to the apartment, but I get out definitely on the weekends. But it's been one of my biggest and greatest vices, and I like to go by myself. Not crazy. I don't like to bike with anybody.
Yeah.
I just like to do it all by myself. At my own pace. I'm not racing anybody.
It is peaceful.
Yeah, it's peaceful and just go. And it's been a great thing. And obviously it's helped me with my health. My doctor likes it, so I'm good.
Yeah.
But that's my enjoyment, And then my family. I have an amazing wife who's been by my side for 30 years. She don't ride. I told her I was going to get an e-bike so she could hang with me a little bit, but she doesn't.
I feel like those are more dangerous than regular bicycles.
But that quality time, I'm out, all during the week, so it's hard on her sometimes. But she's been gracious, and I'm an empty nester. My girls, I got 3 daughters. They're all kind of around, but. I'm also blessed to have an incredible wife who's been with me by my side. So that's people might think that's crazy, but that's my enjoy time as well. Spending that time with her, is important for me.
I mean, that's what we do this for. So
100%,
we have that time.
100%.
All right. Well, I can't thank you enough
appreciate
for
you.
taking the
Thank
time
you.
to spend it with me here and with my audience. And so. Listen, until the next time, I'm certainly going to ask you to come back.
I would love to come back.
Down the road.
Always.
Again, thank you.
Thank you so much, Camille. Right.
And so with that, I appreciate, again, everyone spending some time here with me and Commissioner Bethel for this episode of Coffee Chat with the CAO, and look forward to chatting with you all in the next episode.